Good day. Welcome to another installment of Prospero in Bermuda with your host Stephen on this fine Monday. So we've embarked on this 100 book challenge, so I thought it would behoove me to give you a tour of my book library. I realize that maybe I'm tearing the mask off and showing too much, but I will not be perturbed. I want to display my glories to the world. You're welcome to make suggestions as to what books you'd like to see reviewed, but it will ultimately come down to my choice. There are so many things that I want to do, but I'm well open to any suggestions. If something really jumps out and you want to hear me review it, by all means. So we're going to look around at my bachelor pad cottage. Out there is the door. It's a beautiful day. It was very rainy yesterday, so there's still a bit of moisture on the floor where I had the door open during. This is my wall. I cannot tell you how many posters I bought before I found the perfect trio. I found this Camino de Santiago poster. I can't believe I found it. It just was randomly online. There is another poster that goes underneath it. I took it down and, of course, tore off a bit of plaster so you can see that. This is I don't know, it's Frank Frazetta, sort of goddess staring at the moon. I don't know, maybe that's my old law school girlfriend in the back, sort of fits the contours. But I just like the look of it. And also, this is my Lord of the Rings poster. So I guess the common theme of all three is more or less nature. I didn't notice that before. It didn't notice it until it was up. But yes, it's sort of held together by a fantastical appreciation of nature. I've visited that spot. I've walked the Camino 3 times, that route, the Frances, 3 times. I've done the Portuguese 3 times, and hopefully this summer I'm doing the Norte for the first time. But I remember passing by here and thinking, yeah, this is it. Over here is my wall of weird. I don't really believe in UFOs at all. I think they're a government psyop, and any real encounters have been with some sort of demonic presence. I don't believe that ET's coming here from other planets, but I love the X-Files, and when I say I want to believe, it means that I want to believe in the world being weirder than what we're led to believe. There's my spirit animal, Ernest Hemingway. Looks like Alex Jones next to him drinking, the kind of the shades on, but it's not. That's pretty much me in the bars. My concession to my erring faith is Francis of Assisi, and of course the Last Supper, and of course Caesar, because he's just a boss. Chesterton quote down there. Let's move down here. All the various reprints. That's Ophelia, isn't that Ophelia? I think that's Ophelia. Now this is. I have to be careful what I show you guys because I have some books that are a bit dodgy. That would probably get me in trouble. Oh, there's one, Controversy of Zion. But my general nonfiction, you see, there's a lot of, this is all very non-Christian. Most of the stuff. The books on the occult, that Rediscovery of Wisdom book is brilliant. There's some Nietzsche, some Jung. I like Jung. I don't always agree with Jung, but I like him a lot. Jewish Revolutionary Spirit, that'll probably get me banned just by seeing it. And Glories of Christendom, 5 volumes. I don't know, man. He worked closely with the CIA. I'm a little dubious about diving into that 5 volume because it does leave out a crucial component of Catholic history. The group that we dare not name, their influence over everything, for which we do need someone like E. Michael Jones to supplement. And there's a sort of the Spitzer books, trying to pull you into the Novus Ordo Church. These books by Strickland are from an Eastern Orthodox position. They're really good, actually. They're really, really interesting. And there's some old, some Orthodox books, as well as Dennis Fay, Father Dennis Fay, pre-Vatican II stuff, which if you're a Sedevacantist, you'll like him a lot. Stanilow, The Experience of God books, that's Eastern Orthodox theology. It's pretty amazing. There's a John Courtney Murray book, famously about the infiltration of the church by the CIA, really, and agreeing to take on the doctrines of Americanism and Freemasonic values in order to have a seat at the geopolitical table. Maurice Pinet's Plot Against the Church, that came out just before Vatican II, warning about what the true purpose of the council was. And then I have books that analyze things like fascism from a Christian perspective, also from Greg Johnson, very non-Christian perspective. That book, Meditations on the Tarot, is supposed to be really good. I find it a little bit impenetrable, but interesting. Tavistock, demonic, occult stuff. The Occult War is pretty interesting. Down here, I've got all these Time Life fantasy books. I loved these as a kid and managed to collect them all. So you've got what's that one? Come back into focus. What are you doing? The Lore of Love. That's nice. It's all sort of myths and legends, beautifully illustrated. Along here is sort of my science section, although someone scoffed that this is science. Michael Cremo arguing that the civilization is far older than we think. Then we've got the sort of running the gauntlet of intelligent design from various perspectives. I got Stephen Meyer books. I intend to read all of those. I'm going to really dive deep on that. My brother and I talk about it a lot because he's a professor of biological anthropology. So I don't know why I Am a Christian is in there. There's some science articles in there. Darwin's Pious Idea is sort of thin theistic evolution. I didn't find that book at all compelling. I might review it at some point. Some books in here. Okay, we've got a lot of history books. This is all David Irving stuff. It's kind of hard to get now, but I've had it for years. This is The Ruling Elite, Diana Spagnola. It's heavy on data, but not a very compelling read. Then moving into the occult section again, I have a whole bunch of Julius Evola. I've tried to get into him. I just don't. I mean, he's a bit of a weirdo. I mean, he says a lot of stuff that is interesting and probably true, but I've just read it better from more Christian sources. But he's still got some good stuff. Then I got the weird esoteric stuff, which we won't really go into, but you can still get it all on Amazon, so there's nothing bad here. Well, some of it's been taken off, but I don't agree with any of the stuff that's written here, but some of it's kind of funny just to see these guys LARPing, trying to create a new mythology based around the Second World War. That Hitler Democrat book is written by Leon de Graal. That Myth of the 20th Century by Alfred Rosenberg is pretty fascinating. That was Rosenberg's attempt to create a sort of Aryan myth. Hitler himself didn't approve of it, but it's really interesting how close it is to some form of Scientology, and you sometimes see these myths popping up in weird ways in pop culture. So sort of forewarned is forearmed, Various Douglas Murray. I'm not too enamored by him these days. Some novels. Mythologizing Jesus, right down to the crazy Ruckman, who just thinks everybody's going to hell. The Dionysian Gospel is pretty interesting. A lot of good stuff there. Galileo was wrong. That's just for fun. Some old Catholic books. Some more. This is very sort of traditionalist Catholic, not Sedevacantist, but definitely traditionalist. Robert Sunjanus, Shaw and Chesterton, that sort of thing. What's in here? Oh, okay. Some more atheist stuff. I've got Dan Barker, more atheist stuff. Really just to show, Which Way Western Man is a controversial book, but, I have it there to demonstrate where people's minds go when they stop believing in God, and that they, that basically, that book tells you the mindset of the globalists. The people that want to depopulate the earth and worship nature and so on, and that's really getting into your mind. The Holocaust Narrative, E. Michael Jones's latest, very interesting. Rise and Fall of the Papacy is an interesting book from Eastern Orthodox position. Bentley Hart, Beauty of the Infinite. I find him such a wanker, but he's a good writer. Empire of God, more pro. This is Eastern Orthodox / traditionalist Catholic at loggerheads with each other. The Philokalia. Beautiful stuff on the ethics of beauty. And more books on Eastern Orthodoxy and Catholicism. I have a huge section on this stuff, and I have all the controversial books. How Can I Get to Heaven by Sungenis. See, this is one thing. I look at that book, How Can I Get to Heaven, the blue one, and I think, okay, this is why people become Protestant. He needed to write like a 350-page book on what you have to do to be saved. It really makes it so difficult. But yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted, I guess. More, just more. I've got 2 copies of Cor Jesu Sacratissimum. It's a good book. All right, so that's the nonfiction stuff, or depending on your viewpoint on religion. Now let's come over to the fun section. Here we have King Leonidas, from 300. And, that's my plan for the summer, hopefully, Camino del Norte. This is my Tolkien section. Got all the unfinished tales, Perilous Realm. I've read most of these and put them up on YouTube. That's the Lord of the Rings, that big thick one right there. That's the latest edition of his letters. Silmarillion, a couple of versions, and the Philosophy of Tolkien. This was a picture from an old calendar. My mom wrote Stephen's Idea of Heaven as a little boy. I've kept that because my mom's passed away, and I like seeing her handwriting. That's a poster. So along here, we have my favorite lawyer, barrister, Rumpole of the Bailey. So a lot of books by John Mortimer and about old Rumpole. And now I have all of the Flashman novels that are absolutely amazing. I'd be really surprised if they're still being sold because they're so politically incorrect. But when I was in law school, not that long ago, you could still get them. Then we have a huge amount of P.G. Wodehouse. I have a lot of P.G. Wodehouse to catch up on. See all those omnibuses. A lot of P.G. Wodehouse. And we also have James Herriot. I absolutely adore James Herriot, the beloved vet. I'd like to get some of it. I could easily just devote all my time to reading just this shelf, but I don't want to read too much of one thing. Again, sort of the satirical stuff, Mark Gatiss, Gerald Durrell, Ginger Man. Down here, I'm going to sit. Excuse me a moment. Oh, my leg. Aching leg. Down here, see, this is where me and Michael Vaughan are buds. Love Karl Edward Wagner with his Kane stories. Love Conan. The Dark is Rising, Susan Cooper. I was thinking of reading that aloud. It's still too much of a kid's novel, though. I sort of get tired of them. Dan Simmons, his Drood book. I have a bunch of Dan Simmons. He's one of the most interesting writers that I know of. Because he's so unafraid to write in different genres. And so some of the books people love, others they don't. But it doesn't mean any of the books are failures. It just means that he guaranteed will not write books that appeal to everybody. You will find Dan Simmons books that you don't like, just simply based on the fact that he changes his style so much. Here's a sort of Brian Lumley. This is all H.P. Lovecraft imitators, as well as these trendy sort of Anno Dracula stuff. I haven't read any of them. I'd like to try them out, and The Exorcist and so on. Down here that's old school Clark Ashton Smith, Weird Tales, Arthur Machen, and Robert, what's his name? What's his last name? Robert Aikman? Yeah. These are all the Weird Tales stuff that I got into. Again, Michael, other people have been into that. Some potboiler horror books. James Herbert. I used to love reading him as a kid. All the Rats novels. Some old school horror books that here, Dark Sanctuary, The Yellow Mistletoe. That was recommended by Karl Edward Wagner in his list of best horror stories. And then I got a bunch of Joe Hill. That's Stephen King's son, and a couple of Stephen King's. I used to really like Stephen King as a kid. I find him insufferable now, so I don't really have much. I'm willing to try out these Joe Hills. I got them all at the secondhand bookstore, so I didn't break the bank on any of them. But I got to see if I like him. What do we got here? My man Jeeves. Now, you may or may not know this about me. Theater is my passion, so I've got the picture up. That's supposed to inspire me to write, but doesn't do a great job. That's my nod to Odinism. And there's old Rumpole having this weird old man staring at me. My Tolkien calendar. Then I come along with my pagan gods, statues. We got Aphrodite, we got Pan, we got skulls, we got a guardian angel, a cup of Christ, we got Zeus here, got pictures of my family, And that's from the past. That's my law awards when I did the Camino for the first time, and Dionysus, Apollo, more myths and legends. What sort of books are here? This is drama section. Laurence Olivier. What happens in a lot of Shakespeare, some Chesterton, does some nice. Oh my goodness, our cockroaches have really been at that. T.S. Eliot, Keats, so on. Being an actor. Then along here, Roald Dahl, a lot of Robertson Davies, Mordecai Richler, some Canadian stuff. I really want to read this, but it's going to take a long time. Twyman wrote some really weird books. Little Umberto Eco, Louis de Bernier. I'd read so much of his, and I'd read so much of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Actually, down there I have the rest of his short ones. Let's see, some Ken Follett novels, and various piddle-paddle. This is sort of just pot boiler stuff. More Dan Simmons, that Steven Erikson stuff. Eye of the World, I just can't get into it. I think it's crap. Patrick Rothfuss, haven't been able to get into that. These are all just paperbacks. I'll probably read a few of these. The Magus is one of my all-time favorite books by John Fowles. I've read it 3 times at different periods in my life, and I get something out of it every time. Guy Gavriel Kay is definitely going to feature on my challenge list. The Historian was pretty cool. There's the Heartstone stuff. Ian Fleming, Nazi Moon, that's a shout out to the Kurgan, his novel. A bunch of Dickens down here, and Brave New World, all that sort of stuff. Half this stuff is being banned now. Various, again, just Butcher, Preston and Child, sort of paperback novels. Over here, bunch of Dragonlance. I used to have way more. Down there is some dime store Star Trek, some the Willard Price books I read as a kid. Charles Williams novels, H.P. Lovecraft, Gormenghast, which I just can't get. I struggle to get into. Le Morte d'Arthur, I want to reread. I read it as a kid, loved it. I was thinking of doing The Sword and the Stone, Once and Future King, and the Book of Merlin as a reading aloud. That was when I was really. I might still do that because it's hard to put out new content all the time when you're just reading books. Because it takes time to read the books. Patrick O'Brien, my brother, adores, because he's a seafaring guy. I'm not so much. I've got a bunch of Lee Child. I actually don't like Jack Reacher that much. I just have a bunch of it because they're so cheap at the secondhand bookstore. Joe Abercrombie, although he's a rabid atheist, I really like this trilogy. He gets a bit much after a while. I read his standalones afterwards and just didn't want to read them anymore because I just felt like the dreariness of people toiling and then they all die it was too much. But I've heard Best Served Cold is amazing if you just read it by itself. Iliad and the Odyssey and the Aeneid I need to read properly. I've read them as years ago, but I really want to reread. Greek myths. It's funny, I put the Power, Seduction, Mastery, and Human Nature by the Greek stuff. Kind of makes sense, though. Kind of makes sense. Guy Gavriel Kay's trilogy, I definitely want to reread. Thucydides, Chesterton, O'Brien stuff. Alec Guinness, you're a little out of place there. There's another Stephen King, but I think that's all I've got. And finally, manuals. This won't really feature on the the obesity code. Yeah, like I'm following that. Just various riffraff, self-help. Bit more Bibles. This is more atheist stuff. Yeah, this is like alternative histories to Christianity. Trying to understand the myth rather than. And, some of this stuff is a bit out there. There's Laurent de Guiannot. There's, just basic stuff. So I'm not going to... I'd like to review some of it, but, it can get a bit spicy for YouTube. So I probably won't. There's H.L. Mencken there. There's Conan. I'm getting a little old for Conan, but to have posters up. But, hey, it's my place, so this is what I like. And... can you see out there? Oh, my back. I got a lot of space back there. But yeah, I'll take you around the yard at some point. Okay, well, that's a sort of, these are my books. And yeah, so we've got a lot to review. And yeah, give me your shout out for your suggestions. And I'm happy to take them in stride. Alrighty, until next time, keep reading.